Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're gonna talk about XRP. And I gotta start with this from Uphold. I thought this was a great shout out to XRP. If only there were a decentralized, finite asset, a store of value designed to preserve wealth and hedge against rising inflation. You know they're talking about XRP. And XRP is now being looked at as a store of value by the institutions as well. Institutions are paying more attention to XRP because it's outperforming Bitcoin to date. This rally feels different. This rally is expected to extend beyond Bitcoin and into other assets. The narrative is changing right in front of you. XRP is on their minds now. And I said, this is what I've been saying for a while. The narrative is shifting while hype is at a new all-time high for Bitcoin. You either see it or you don't. Everybody on X, every single day, it's post after post after post about Bitcoin. But the institutions are looking beyond Bitcoin now. The narrative is shifting away from Bitcoin. Institutions are definitely paying attention to XRP and comparing it to Bitcoin. XRP versus Bitcoin transactions. XRP versus Bitcoin prices in USD. And this is a document put out by Wisdom Tree a couple months ago. Remember when they were talking about mass adoption? XRP must see a surge in usage for payments, remittances, and other applications. Regulatory clarity. Favorable regulations could attract more institutional investment. Regulations are going to benefit utility more than they're going to benefit Bitcoin. Ecosystem expansion, new partnerships and innovations, extending XRP's utility beyond payments. We also see them signing up new partnerships all the time as well, opening up more rails for XRP to run on. Market sentiment, a broader pivot towards altcoins over Bitcoin. They knew back then that the shift was going to happen, and they were warning people back then. You know, anybody that's entering crypto right now, if they put their money in altcoins, they're going to make a hell of a lot of more money than they will off of Bitcoin. Bretton Woods committee chair says progress on cross-border payments will cement the dollar as the key reserve currency. Like I've been saying all along, XRP strengthens the dollar. But take a listen to what he says is going on right now. And this is most likely the biggest problem around real-time payments in the United States.
Well, I think the dollar is the linchpin of global financial markets. So we get what's called the exorbitant privilege of people wanting to hold dollar-denominated assets. So that makes the cost of funding in the United States less than if the dollar was not viewed as, the key currency in the global economy. But that's not necessarily foreordained forever, and other steps we can do to make that more likely to be sustained in the future. And one thing is to make some progress on cross-border payments. Payments cross-border are extremely expensive, especially for small retail payments like remittances. They cost maybe as much as 6-7%. This could be brought down tremendously if we developed instant payment systems nationally and then linked them together. A number of countries have good instant payment systems. Brazil, India, for example. The U.S. is basically nowhere. We have two systems, but nobody uses them. Everybody uses cards and debit cards, Venmo or PayPal. So we need to do something to reinvigorate the U.S. instant payment systems. And then once we have that, we need to start to take steps and to link it together with other instant payment systems around the world. If we do that, we can actually lower the cost of payments dramatically and cement the dollar as the key reserve currency.
Do you see the Fed actually getting on this in any capacity in the near term, considering that they have their hands full with their mandate and a lot of controversy around it?
Well, I think you need some support from the administration and Congress. The countries that have been successful in this have basically had mandates. They basically said you need to actually offer this service to your banking customers. In the United States, it's completely voluntary. And since it's completely voluntary, the two instant payment systems we have, FedNow and RTX, are basically not used by virtually anybody. So they exist. But if they're not used, then how can that be advantageous to link that into an?
So think about what's going on right now. The real-time payment system is there, but nobody's mandating it. Nobody's telling people that this is the direction you should be going in. The banks aren't doing it, but that could change as soon as next month. I think we're going to start to see ads, commercials about FedNow all over the TV, and most likely at the local banks as well, because FedNow, they're expecting a lot of adoption to happen there very fast once that system goes fully live. And ISO is coming this year as well. Big things are going to start to happen around real-time payments. But I like that he said cross-border remittances and cross-border payments are what's going to strengthen the US dollar. And Trump is all about strengthening the US dollar. He wants to have a strong dollar. He doubled down on it multiple times. Well, how do you make that happen? XRP. Trump considers returning the US dollar to the gold standard, according to officials in the administration. Officials within the Trump administration have said that President Trump is considering returning to the US dollar back to the gold standard. This would allow the US currency to be directly exchanged for gold. And I've been telling you, this has been coming for a long time. Record COMEX gold contract physical settlements with 179 tons in February. New contracts at one of the highest rates on record. March, 5 times more open interest than typical. We are going to see gold get revalued as well. And they're going to need something to move that gold-backed currency. And it's not just going to happen in the United States. The BRICS are leaning in this direction. Other central banks are leaning in this direction as well. That's why the central banks have been stockpiling gold for the last, how many years? 4 years under Biden. And then beyond that, they've been slowly buying it up over time. But this is the direction we're going in. And this is nothing new. Take a listen to Judy Shelton back in 2019.
Would returning to a gold standard help the U.S. economy? Can you talk a little about your thoughts on that?
Well, I would say I don't see it so much as returning, but more of a back to the future.
Okay.
I think that what a gold standard stands for is monetary discipline for its own sake. That is, if money is supposed to be a unit of account and a reliable measure and a dependable store of value, it really shouldn't be subject to who's the chairman of the Federal Reserve. And I think that money needs to be stable and provide the foundation for productive economic growth. And when money is just a variable that financial markets toss around, or it's part of a derivatives formula, or it's part of someone speculating on currencies, it's not serving the private sector in the sense of providing that reliable unit of account so you can make plans. And under a gold standard, you did have that stability, and I think that's what's missing. And so I like the idea of a gold standard. I mean, it could be used in a very cryptocurrency way. The point is, do you have a unified money system so that when you talk about the international marketplace, everyone is playing on a level monetary playing field? And it's very important to have a rules-based approach. And that's why I'm advocating that we need to look at the virtues of a gold standard and try to come up with something much closer to matching those. And then I think we would have more solid economic.
And that was back in 2019. Take notice, she mentioned cryptocurrency and also a level playing field. This was most likely part of the plan back when Trump was president back then. But things were moving way too quick back then. I think they had to slow down a little bit. And now here we are in 2025, and we're right back on track. The train has left the station. And Laura Loomer said this, going to be releasing a story tonight about how a Gary Gensler acolyte and Biden donor is trying to infiltrate the Trump Crypto Advisory Board through their connections to Trump admin officials and tech billionaires who occupy space at Mar-a-Lago. Stay tuned. I can't wait to see who she announces as a Gary Gensler acolyte. Let's wait and see what happens around that. Gemini CEO Tyler Winklevoss said the exchange won't be hiring any graduates from MIT unless the university drops former SEC chair Gary Gensler from his teaching role. Like I said, Gary might be back at MIT, but his students are going to fail because he's their professor. I think a lot of people in the crypto industry, once they sit down and they have an interview with some of these students coming out of MIT, they're going to be asking, were you a student of Gary Gensler? I think it goes beyond Gemini. And Gary should just hang it up at this point. He was a travesty for the last 4 years. All he did was crack down on crypto, work for the big banks, and corrupt politicians. A new bill was just introduced in New York with the focus of establishing a New York State cryptocurrency and blockchain study task force. And I said, I imagine every state will eventually have a task force set up to address questions coming from citizens about crypto, and also to help those that were scammed by scammers inside of crypto in the future. But this is a good direction to be going in. Set up a task force in every single state around the United States. Because there's a lot of politicians out there that are pro-crypto that don't even understand anything about crypto. They know it's helping them in the polls. And I want to see what happens in the midterms as well. That's going to be the next big election. Age of transparency. We need mass surveillance of governments instead of citizens. And I agree with that. We're now finding out about all the fraud in the U.S. government. But I think what's really going on with this current administration, I think they're on the path to getting rid of a lot of these government agencies that aren't doing any good for the U.S. citizens, like the IRS. Without the IRS, more people would be incentivized to work longer hours, knowing that the money isn't going to be taken in taxes. Then you look at the Fed. The Fed creates inflation and then pretends to fight inflation at the expense of U.S. citizens. There's a lot of other agencies out there as well that need to disappear. But once we go to a gold-backed currency, which I think the United States is definitely going back to, I think that will end the Fed. And once we go to an automated system, that will most likely end the IRS as well. And we are going to an automated system. Look at the push for AI right now. And it seems like Brad Garlinghouse is thinking that the apex is going to be huge this year because he's already announcing it. In case you missed it, in years past, XRP Ledger Apex is the event bringing XRP family together like no other. I'll be joining Joel Katz, Monica Long, and many others on stage in Singapore, June 10th to 12th, 2025. See you there. I think the Apex, what's great about it is this. We see a lot of big announcements come from it. We see a lot of connections made by Ripple with other partners, making new partnerships with new partners at that Apex as well. But 2025 is already a big year. Big things are happening right now. If we were to go back to a gold-backed dollar, that would be huge in the United States. Your money would actually be worth something. I think a lot of things are going to happen first. I still am not ruling out a massive crash in 2025. That will most likely lead us into the new financial system. And I think a lot of things need to get revalued. Gold is one of them. Silver is on the way there as well. But we're going to start to see real estate change. It's already starting to happen. Car prices are starting to change. At the same time, though, food prices are still rising, and gas prices, they're kind of staying the same. I want to start to see things come down at the grocery store and at the gas station as well. But 2025 is going to be a big year for XRP investors. You know, anybody that's sitting there looking at the price right now and getting frustrated and getting to the point where I can't believe this isn't taking off yet, it is absolutely coming. I expect the next couple of weeks for things to start to turn around. I'm still waiting to see what happens with the XRP ETFs. I'm waiting to see what happens with the Ripple versus SEC case. Now they're starting to talk about IPOs once again. Is Ripple going to do an IPO in 2025? That could be big for XRP. We're also going to start looking at ISO very soon and FedNow. I want to see what kind of adoption FedNow gets in the United States. That'll be a good indicator on how big ISO is going to be for these utility-driven cryptocurrencies. But we're just not quite there yet. But until it all happens, stay patient, stay positive, and we will get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.